This is one of those messages that isn't easy, but I think it's important to digest. What if I told you that your stuff really isn't yours? In the first century, where we're at in the book of Acts, chapter 4, verses 32 through 37, we're about to read a passage that typically is thought of as, oh, they shared everything, how lovely, how nice. But I'm going to paint a different picture. Go ahead and read the passage, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it. Welcome back. We think of this as sort of an idealistic communal lifestyle, but here's the reality. This was survival. 90% of Jews living in Palestine at the time of this story, of this narrative, were living in subsistence and abject poverty. There was such a need that it was staggering, and so the very few who had sacrificed what they had so that everybody could just eat. It says that the believers were one in heart and mind, not because they all had plenty, but because most of them didn't. The apostles were preaching Jesus' resurrection boldly, and God's grace transformed their hearts, empowering a generosity well beyond human strength. I want my faith to shake my wallet, and I hope the same for you. It says something powerful. There were no needy persons among them. Needy people were everywhere in this time, and the people who were Christians in the church had their needs met because the few that had anything sacrificed for all. It was a beautiful picture, but it was also a necessary thing that happened. And we see Barnabas highlighted. Barnabas, son of encouragement, sold his property and gave freely. This shouts at us, what are we willing to give to lift others when survival is at stake? It wasn't compulsory. It wasn't a manipulative offering taken by rich leaders. This was people taking care of their own. It was people taking care of people. And it showed a community filled with the Holy Spirit living out of God's justice in the middle of a culture of exploitation and inequality. It calls us to be generous people, people that look reality in the eye, acknowledging economic injustice is a very real part of our world, but invites us to share and be one family across economic lines. Let God transform you, and let God show you how He wants you to care for the needs of others, the practical needs of others. I hope that you're hearing God's heart in this today. I try to find ways to be generous, and I hope you do too. And reading a passage like this and thinking about the desperation and poverty that these people were living in, and for it to say that none of them lacked anything, that is an accomplishment. That would be like saying today, there are no homeless people in my town because we made sure all of them were taken care of. Think about that.